In Singapore, definitely there's still a stigma, and definitely mental health is still seen as a weakness and not taken seriously.
Meet Jethro, a British expat in Singapore. He told me about the non-obvious benefits for a foreigner living in Singapore, the challenges of not being understood here with his northern English accent, and the main causes of mental health issues in Singapore. I'm Max, and I hope you understand my accent. Let's go!
What's the best thing for you about Singapore, apart of these obvious ones like efficiency, cleanliness, something like maybe more not very visible?
The location is great, isn't it, for travel? That was another reason I wanted to move here. Obviously, when I first arrived, I managed to get to a few countries before the pandemic hit and the borders closed. So I got to China and Indonesia and Thailand and Australia, and then the borders closed, so I couldn't go anywhere. And then since then, obviously since the borders opened, I managed to get to some other countries around Asia. So travel is great. The location is brilliant for traveling around. The way of life is really good. So the fact that you can go to work and then literally you can go to a bar after work or a coffee shop after work, sit outside. I mean, I like the fact that we sit outside any time of year, and the food culture is amazing as well. So not just the variety, because I think you can get the variety in most main cities around the world, capital cities, but it's just everywhere. You know, literally, when I first came here, I said to one of my colleagues, "What's your main dish of the main meal of the day?" So for British people, mainly evening meal would be the main meal. You might have a sandwich or a snack at lunchtime. And she went, "Every meal." What are you talking about?
It's important.
Yeah, what are you talking about? It's every meal. So everything nearly everything revolves around food. So the lunch times, the malls are packed at lunchtime because everybody's going out for lunch, and then you go out and you can get any food at any time at night as well. And I think the other thing that different here, good or bad, is the delivery culture. I find that not many people will cook their own food because it's just easier to order in. Maybe that's just the people I mix with, but the Grab and the Deliveroo and the Just Eat and all that sort of stuff, it's an industry in itself, isn't it? Because you could just get anything you want to eat at any time. So I think that's different, that's good. The fact that, what time is it now? It's 9:45 here, 15 minutes or half an hour, we'll be able to get Italian, I saw a Vietnamese restaurant back there. There'll be Korean, there'll be Spanish, there'll be local, and we go to a hawker centre and you just a choice of any food you want. So food is definitely one of the things that it's a cliche and it's probably everybody probably says it, but the food availability is amazing.
How's English here for you? Do people understand you, and do you understand other people?
It's funny that because I've still got quite a broad Yorkshire accent, not as broad probably as it was before. I find it really weird that English is the first language here, but quite a lot of shops I go into, they don't understand me. So, or restaurants or cafes, but often when we're in restaurants, I will ask for something and they'll look at me like they don't understand, and then look at my partner who's local and say, "What does he say?" I dread ringing people up on the phone, like to make appointments or anything like that, because I know that it'll be hard work. So my partner says I use too many words. I say things like, "Have you got any appointments available for this afternoon?"
Yeah.
And they go,
"Any slots?" Yeah.
"Oh, what are you talking about?" And he should go, "Yeah, appointment this afternoon?"
Yeah.
I have to get used to that.
Honestly, I think it's a skill to simplify your language.
Yes.
When you talk to someone and they used to speak differently, you just have to simplify. And sometimes it's like difficult to make yourself like simplify your language.
It is.
But it's like that's a skill.
On WhatsApp, it's easy because you get lazy, don't you? So I actually, when I'm WhatsApping my parents, I have to think, rereading, go, "Oh no, I need to put extra words back in again." They won't understand it. Yeah, verbally, it's a skill. You're right.
Yeah.
Which I still need to get better at.
You start using can?
No, no, I've not done it. My colleague at work does, and everybody does it, but I haven't done that.
No. Maybe you need like a couple more years here.
Yeah.
And your partner is local, so she's Singaporean.
Yes. So when I moved over here, I moved with my wife and my at the point, 11-year-old daughter. But my wife was disabled, and then unfortunately she passed away quite suddenly. So that's the story. That was a culture shock. So the whole process of dealing with that. So she passed away, and then subsequently I've met my partner now who's local here.
You watched the interview on my channel with Brian.
Yeah.
Because he told me the story, his wife passed away when they came to Singapore, and he told me the story how they deal with the funeral, the services, all this stuff. Yeah. So it was shocking.
So my wife, as I said, she was disabled. She was housebound basically, and wasn't in the best of health anyway, but didn't expect her to pass away.
Yeah.
Saturday morning, she woke up, couldn't breathe. I phoned the ambulance came, took her to hospital. We was there all day, and they kept saying, you know, she's not very well. And then about 6 o'clock-ish in the evening, the doctor, who was actually English, which was helpful, came out and let me know that she'd passed away.
Wow.
And my daughter was still at home, so I had to bring my daughter over to let her know. So that was during COVID. The rules were different, I guess, than normal. So we went, she passed away. Then the police came and started interviewing me. And then the hospital said, what are you going to do with her body? I went, literally don't know. This is so sudden. I've not had time to think. What do you do here? In England, I wouldn't have known what to do. I would have rang a friend, got a funeral director, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I said, well, they'll be collecting, the mortuary will be collecting her body today. Then they'll probably release her tomorrow. And then you'll need to have her cremated. Or do you want to take her back to England? I was like, I literally didn't know. It was like, how do I make a decision? They brought somebody in that was like social services or something, and basically they just gave me some leaflets on funeral directors, so I just picked the one on the top. So rang them, I think, if I remember correctly, or messaged them. I think they might have rang them, and then was messaging them, and they said, oh, okay, well, I'll meet you at the mortuary tomorrow morning, and we can take your wife to the funeral parlour, and then the same day, she'll be cremated. I went, what? Tomorrow? Yeah, she'll be cremated tomorrow. I went, well, that's quick.
Yeah.
I haven't got time to really process anything. And they went, that's how it works here. But I'm not sure that is how it works here. It was for me. So only a few people could attend the cremation because it was COVID, so there was limited people. So it was videoed, so people could watch it on video. And people obviously in the UK who couldn't fly over quick enough. In fact, at that point, you still needed to get permission to come in, and I think we were still quarantining, so nobody could come and fly over for the funeral. So the next day, she was cremated at night, like 7 o'clock at night at Mandai, obviously. And then the next morning, her ashes arrived. So between me ringing the ambulance and her ashes arriving at home, 48 hours. So that was a big, that had a big impact on my life. So so a lot of the things I do now are probably influenced by that event.
Life can be unpredictable, right? Sometimes things get tough and we need to learn how to keep moving forward. That's why I want to tell you about BetterHelp, the mental health platform sponsoring today's video. I personally believe that therapy can make a huge difference. Once I went to a therapist because I kept postponing the launch of this exact YouTube channel, and she gave me a few simple exercises, and as you can see, they really help. It's definitely okay to ask for help when you need it. A professional therapist can help you navigate your feelings, build healthier habits, and change your mindset so your life looks more like you want it. But the biggest problem is finding that professional therapist, and BetterHelp makes it simple. Skip the hassle of searching for a therapist and waiting for an appointment. Just answer a few questions and you'll be matched with the licensed therapist who specializes in helping people with struggles like yours. You can connect with them via phone, video, or message, whichever you prefer. And if your first match doesn't feel right, you can switch therapists as many times as needed until you find the perfect match. Let BetterHelp support you when you need it. Follow my personal link in the description to enjoy 10% off your first month. Take care of yourself, guys.
Me and my daughter had a conversation at that point, what should we do? Should we go back to England? I didn't want to. Yeah. And she said, well, I know you don't want to go back to England, so let's stay here. So here we are still.
So how it affected your life?
I think it just made me live for the moment more. So that, I was quite a positive person anyway before that, but because that happened so fast, and like on the Friday, everything was fine, and then by Monday, everything had changed. Yeah. So you just never know what's around the corner. You never know what's going to happen today. So I was positive before, but I think now I definitely live more for the now. And if there's some opportunity, I'll take it and then worry about the risk afterwards. It's a bit like doing this. You reached out and I went, you know what, I'll do that. Because you never know what you're going to do next week.
Yeah. And so I know that you're advocating for the men's health issues and challenges and how to overcome them. Can you elaborate on that?
I'm very fortunate. I've never really had any mental health issues or mental wealth or mental well-being issues.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's just luck or whether it's because I've got a positive outlook in life or whether my upbringing had any impact. But my first wife, I got divorced from my first wife, and that was a surprise as well. And then obviously I met my second wife, but she had lots of mental health issues and suicide attempts and other health issues as well that impacted my life and my daughter's life and her son's life. The support that she got for her mental health was really poor. And it impacted me in the fact that I had to look after her physically and emotionally and mentally. And then then obviously she passed away. I was telling people this story at work last year on International Men's Day, I think, or World Mental Health Day last year.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, oh my God, that's, and nobody realised they'd been through what you've been through. And obviously there was a bit more detail to the story, but then people started opening up to me about, you know, their mental health, mainly men, and saying, you know, there's still a stigma. So organisations all say, you know, mental health is really important. They all have taglines and they all have like the day a year where they'll promote it. But in reality, in Singapore, definitely there's still a stigma, and definitely in general, mental health is still seen as a weakness and not taken seriously.
Yeah.
And for many even more. So, you know, statistic, one man himself every day in Singapore commits suicide every day in Singapore due to mental health issues. In the UK, it's about 10 men every day. So it's still
10 men.
Yeah, still a big issue, and there's still a stigma there, and people still don't tend to talk about it very much. But my sort of push now is to keep raising it. So trying to reduce the stigma, and also be an advocate so people can come and talk to me about it. You know, I'm not an expert, I'm not got any qualifications in it, but I've got experience, and now obviously I'm doing more in that sort of field. I'm getting more experience and more knowledge. You know, I've set up a WhatsApp group and a Facebook group and that type of thing to try and attract people. Just give people a different route for support. So I don't give advice on those in those groups, but it's about just being available to listen to people if they want somebody to talk to, because that's not really around at the moment. So
yeah, what are the main cause of the mental health issues or mental wellness issues in Singapore?
In Singapore, I think that men are still expected to not show emotion.
Yeah.
Men are still expected to grow some balls, pull your socks up, you know, not expected to have weaknesses, not expected to express their doubts or their concerns or anything like that. And I think globally it's probably the same. Obviously I can't talk about many other countries, but UK definitely. Here, I mean, I had one of my colleagues come to me a couple of weeks ago. Somebody said, you know, go and speak to Jethro. And he was like, I have got mental health issues. I'd gone to the doctor, they'd just give him medication, you know, sleeping tablets. And then I said, well, you know, what's available within our organisation? Nothing. So lots of organisations have employee benefit programs. They just send just an email link to a mental health charity. All I could say to him is, you know, this is where I would suggest you do, where I would suggest you would go, you know, listen to what his concerns are, talk about any other options, you know, so like fitness and health and exercise is good, probably better for you than medication. So, you know, meditation, relaxation, walking, doing any exercise is better. So that's where I'm at the moment, just trying to give people another avenue to explore. Long-term goal, I'd quite like to go into organisations and get them to change that mentality. And like I said, most organisations will go, oh yeah, we definitely value people's mental health, it's the most important thing. But then, why haven't you completed that deadline? You know, why have you not done this on time? Why, you know, you've not hit your figures? So I think when it comes to the crunch, they don't really care. I'd quite like to change that.
Yeah, and the thing is, you never know who has these problems or these issues.
No,
because people don't talk about it.
Yeah.
You can be friends with someone, colleagues with someone, and you would never know.
No.
Yeah.
No, so there's a really good video on YouTube the Norwich City Football Club did, which, you know, it's blown up here, you know, millions of people have seen it. And that's exactly what it shows. You know, there's two guys watching football, one of them's miserable and complaining about the game and blah blah blah, and the other one's smiling and laughing, and at the end the guy that's smiling and laughing isn't there because he's himself. So you just don't know, and that's part of the problem. People don't feel able to open up and talk about it. But I think I'm trying to change that a little bit at a time. Certainly people have started opening up to me a lot more now, that I would go, wow, I didn't realise you were affected by this, which is great. It's good. And it also makes my life a little bit more interesting as well.
What is the most common age of people affected in this?
Well, statistics would say that it's the most common killer of young men. It's not heart disease, it's not cancer. That is the most common cause of death in young men, so like between 18 and 40. And then as you get older, obviously other conditions do tend to take over. But I would say certainly the people in my group are all similar age to me. So they've gone through quite a big part of their life. So I'm 49, struggling. Yeah, if you look at my group of friends or people in my groups, they're probably between 30 and 50. So that's still a big issue. So they've lived a good proportion of their life with this issue. And one guy that still lives in England, I never knew that he had quite serious mental health issues until we started chatting on the group. And now we're a lot closer than we were. I used to work with him. Now we chat. We have conversations, and I say to him, I'm always here if you want to have a verbal conversation rather than messaging. And then today we're going out for beers after work, not with him, obviously, because he's in the UK, but with that group of people, just opening up an opportunity for people to just come and have we might not even talk about mental health. Probably won't, because nobody wants to, but it's just there as an opportunity for people to mix with different people and maybe get away from what is causing them stress.
What's the meaning of life for you?
Make the most of it. So you were not here for very long. This is quite not depressing, but somber. We're not here for very long. You never know when your number's up. So the experience I had, you might think you've got 30, 40 years left, but you might have. That's great. I'm really lucky. I've still got both my parents, and my mum is 80 next month. So I'm flying back to the UK to surprise her for her birthday. So I'm lucky that they're both had long lives, and I've not really had any grief until I lost my wife. But not everybody has that opportunity, and so for me the meaning of life is get as much out of it as you can. If you can, leave a legacy. But actually, you hear people on social media now saying, in 100 years time, nobody will remember you really. You'll be pictures in not on somebody's wall now, but on somebody's phone. Make the most of what you've got. Say yes to every opportunity if you can, and just live life.
No problem should stop you from being happy. Try BetterHelp to find the best therapist for you.